All right, Graham remaining here with WhatCulture.com. Today we're talking senior moment with the director himself. Sir, how you doing today? Thanks for joining me.
Thank you. I'm doing fine. Nice talking to you, Graham.
Absolutely, you as well. Now let's get talking about this movie because I've seen the cast for the movie and it's pretty star-studded. I mean, obviously we got Christopher Lloyd, William Shatner, Gene Smart, and the movie itself is very funny too, very appealing for all audiences. Before we get into any of the specifics about the film itself, tell me a little bit about the movie for anyone that's not aware, that anyone that wants to go check it out.
Well, it's a heartfelt romantic comedy
Hmm.
with seniors, and but it's really like you said, it's a movie for all ages. So it is a comedy. It is, I hope, as fun as possible. And the film started, just to give you a little bit of the background. The film
Hmm.
started because William Shatner wanted to do it. And
Wow.
so the whole thing then went into this great adventure, and shooting in Palm Springs was fantastic. So, there are so many elements that came together so well in this film.
That's fantastic. Now, I had heard somewhere that this has been in the works for a long time now. Was this shot in 2017? Is that accurate?
Yes, that's correct. There have been quite a few problems in post-production. I mean, just the usual.
Yeah.
Not problems with the film, it was problems of money.
Hmm.
So we we had to wait a little bit, and finally everything came through thanks to our wonderful producer and Gina Goff. And I have a cat who's meowing really loud. I'm gonna let. I'm so,
No problem. Take your time.
okay. All right. So yeah, we did have some post production financial problems, and then this summer um, we were able to finish it,
Hmm.
and right away Screen Media took it for distribution, and we're very happy with the work that they've done with the film up to now, and it's continuing. It's just started.
And it was a long wait, but it was well worth the wait for a project like this. And now everyone can enjoy it in theaters and all these streaming services and everything else that's available right now where to watch where you can watch the movie. You said this was a William Shatner idea. Was it your idea, someone else's idea, William's idea to get Christopher Lloyd involved in the project and everyone else that eventually jumped aboard?
Well, this was actually the idea was of the screenwriters,
Hmm.
and Gina, the producer, sent it to William Shatner. Gina and I had another project that we were shopping all over town, and that's when William Shatner called Gina saying, "I want to do it." So during the lunch break, Gina
Hmm.
asked me, "Would you like to do a comedy with Shatner?" And of course, I said yes. So as far as Christopher Lloyd, not really. I think it was Gina and I that put Christopher Lloyd on top of our list. We were a little bit skeptical that he would accept, just because the role doesn't have that many lines.
Hmm.
He's in a lot of scenes, but he doesn't have that many lines. Well, I was obviously very wrong, because I should have known that Christopher Lloyd can find its place in a scene, even if he doesn't say a word. Actually,
Yeah.
by the end of the shooting, I told Chris, I said, I would like to write a silent movie for you.
Hmm.
Because he's fantastic. He can find his footings in every single scene.
Yeah, both of these guys, both Shatner and Christopher Lloyd, are just perfect fits for this film. Have they worked together on? They've definitely worked together in other films before, and if so, and it's been a long time, hasn't it? Because they just have such great chemistry together.
Absolutely. They did a Star Trek movie together
Okay.
where Christopher Lloyd was playing a Klingon. So, you know, but not recently. So it must have been like 20 or 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were a perfect match. I mean, I think, there's some movies where the cast comes together so well
Hmm.
that, I mean, of course, I knew it while I was shooting it, but then when I watched it during the editing process, I was like, this is amazing. Everyone perfectly understood the film and their characters, and it was easy for them to get, in the role. And even if all these actors, they had very different ways of approaching the material. Like Bill is very intuitive. Uh, Christopher comes on set that he's already the character and stays in character during the whole shooting,
Hmm.
which is fun. So it's great.
Yeah.
Thank God it was a comedy, you know.
Yeah.
And Gene Smart thinks about every single detail, but then at the end they come together really, really well, and that's what counts. You know, that's the important thing for the film.
Yeah, and all of them just have such great roles in the movie. And you kind of mentioned a little bit there, but I want you to elaborate if you can. Are there any funny stories that you can that you can share from the set of the movie and the making of the movie, and kind of what went on behind the scenes there with all the actors that partook in it?
Oh yeah. Um,
Especially with a movie like this, too. That's a comedy. I mean, there's got to be something there with Lloyd Shatner. How can you not have a story like that? You know?
well, I do have a funny story,
Okay.
and I think you're the only one that I'm telling this. So
Exclusive. Awesome.
the first day of shooting, I did a scene where my wife was playing in it,
Hmm.
who plays like the ex-lover of William Shatner. So no one knew that she was my wife because I tried to keep it with
Yeah.
you know so no one knew that she was my wife until much later in the shooting. So after 3 days, Bill Shatner came to me and said, Giorgio, when are we continuing to do a scene with LaDawn?
Hmm.
And he said it in such a way that I knew at that moment. I was very pleased because I said, well, here is a man who went where no other man went before, who actually, we have the same taste in women. That's great. So I had to tell him, I said, Bill, I'm sorry, but I think she's taken.
Oh, that's
Not
great.
a funny story, but between the actors, there was a lot of improvisation, like the whole scene where Chris and Bill are well, Bill gets sorry, yeah, well, Bill gets ready after when he's in the hospital, he gets dressed.
Hmm.
All that was, I don't think it was even in the script, the scene itself.
Wow.
Then the other thing is, of course, the love of that Bill has for cars.
Hmm.
When we went shooting with that BMW on the BMW track in the desert,
Yep.
there was no way to take him out of the car. I mean, he started going around and around, and I was like,
Yeah.
how are we going to stop him?
Yeah. No, that's
Uh,
funny. I mean, he seems like he'd be the perfect person for improvisation and just kind of making the most of every scene that he's a part of, and just really bringing those scenes to life, you know.
Yeah, and the other thing was, another thing that was very funny was with Chris Lloyd,
Yeah.
because I realized while we were shooting that the character didn't really have an ending.
Hmm.
So it was totally improvised that we had him going on the lowrider
Hmm.
and jump up and down and then, riding away, driving away. And so he had to learn how to jump up and down with a lowrider.
Okay.
It was hysterical, but we only had 15 minutes,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
you had to learn how to do it. The owner of a lowrider was like this huge, massive, very, very serious Latino, a little bit intimidating. And that's the only time that I saw him laughing. I mean, really, really hard, because he was like, oh my God, what's going on with my car? But this is hysterical. And actually, later on, Chris admitted that when he did that shot, he not really hurt himself, but he was uncomfortable with his back afterwards.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure, especially after a while. I'm sure, yeah, that's got to hurt after a little bit. It's kind of going back a little bit with Shatner and Chris himself. I mean, you've obviously done a lot of stuff, Giorgio, over the course of your career as a director, been involved with a lot of cool projects, a lot of cool people. Did you ever think you'd get the opportunity to work with someone like a Bill? And was he on your bucket list of people to work with at some point prior to this movie?
Well, I don't know if it was in my bucket list, but definitely it was a blessing to do this movie with Bill.
Hmm.
Bill is well, first of all, we had the opportunity to work on the script, the two of us, before we shot the movie. So by the time we were on set, there was a perfect understanding where to go with the film.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and and he's such, I thought I was the ultimate workaholic. I'm nothing compared to Bill. I mean, not only is 90 years old,
Yeah.
but it is dynamic like no other person I've ever seen, I ever met. And it's funny and it's very intuitive and very, uh, always very nice, always very pleasant. I mean, there is, there was nothing that went wrong with none of these actors. I mean, Asai Morales and all the other ones. I mean, it was really a blessing.
Yeah, and I mean with Shatner specifically, I mean everyone, like you said, everyone in the cast is a blessing, and it's such a great movie for that reason alone. With Shatner, I know you've mentioned this before in other interviews. 90 years old, and I know you just mentioned it there too. That is crazy. He just turned 90 recently. You would never know it. It's unbelievable, you know.
It's funny. One morning, I was talking to my mother on the phone.
Hmm.
She was in Europe, and then I came on set, and I said, "Bill, because of you, I just insulted my mother." And he goes, "What? What are you talking about?" I said, "Yeah, because she's 15 years old, younger than you,
Yeah,
and she was complaining about, health problems." And you're like on set. I think he was 87 then,
yeah.
he would do things. I mean, he'd jump on the pool. He was all four on gravel.
Hmm.
I mean, it's amazing the things that he would do, and also it's amazing how how fast he is. I mean, it's just like having someone my age next to me.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, no, that's it. That's it.
No, yeah, I was just gonna say I'm 25 and I feel like he has more life than I do sometimes. Like if my knees are hurting or something, like if William Shatner is still going at it, making movies like this, no complaints, one of the happiest guys you'll ever talk to, it seems, then I have nothing to complain about. You know what I'm saying? Uh,
Exactly.
but one more question for you, Georgia, before we wrap it up. With all the stuff that you've done over the course of your career as a director, all the various projects you've been a part of, how rewarding is it to do a movie like this that's just so fun? And again, all your stuff is great, but like it's just so different. This movie specifically so different, so rewarding, so enjoyable from everything else you've done in your career up to this point.
Well, thank you for being so complimentary, but not everything I did is great. The thing is this, it's very simple. I love to work and I
Hmm.
love to be on set and I love the communication with people. So I love to try different kind of movies. So the whole process really excites me, and
Hmm.
that's why I did all kind of different films. Um, this, I have to admit, this was my first comedy,
Wow.
and I loved it. I
Hmm.
love to do a film that is that is less technical and closer to the acting and how the characters uh, come together. And I loved it so much that after this one, I shot another film, which is also comedy. I shot it in Italy, so it's an Italian movie.
Oh,
But
nice.
I really love to do that. And my next project is it's an American comedy. So I love the process to work with actors, and
Hmm.
I don't. And if you do the right casting, I know that this is for every single project, but especially for a comedy.
Hmm.
With the right casting, you have a, a fantastic chemistry that happens. And the role of the director is to keep that chemistry as creative as possible. It takes the difficult part of directing a film like this. It's actually to step back a little bit from what you have in your mind. You
Hmm.
know, I mean, you're working with these actors, and you have to let them be as creative as possible, unless, of course, they may once in a while go out of the tracks that we want to use for these films.
Hmm.
But, it was a fantastic opportunity.
So it gave you the comedy bug. You got bit by the comedy bug, and now you want to just do more of it going forward with all
I
the
would
stuff
love
you've
to
done
do
so
more
far.
comedies. I just love comedies.
Yeah, and just love working in general, and it's cool.
It's really cool. I
Yeah.
mean, I like to do projects that are because here in the States, I did a lot of action films.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I had a blast doing them, but I want to do projects that require a more intense work with the actors.
Mhm.
That's really what I want to
Yeah, and that's definitely evident in Senior Mode, available right now in theaters, streaming services. People can check it out. The perfect film for a time like this, with so much going on in the world right now. This is like the ultimate distraction from stuff like that, which I think is, a great compliment to a movie like this, just to be able to just go out and forget about stuff for 5 minutes, or
do.
an hour and a half, however long it is.
That's why we did it. That's
Exactly.
why we did it. I mean,
It
it's
definitely.
pure distraction, it's pure fun,
Hmm.
and it's relaxing.
Yeah, definitely. And it's enjoyable for all ages, like I said, and people can check it out now in theaters and on streaming services. Senior Moment. Giorgio, this has been great, man. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Graham.
Thank you, sir.